Warm greetings, everyone. It's quite an honor to be here with you tonight. It's wonderful to see so many people here, and online we have quite a few. My name, again, is Pete Doctor, and what an honor it is. We're here for our the anniversary of the Battle of Okinawa, 81st anniversary. We have a few housekeeping things before we get started tonight. Just a reminder that the restrooms, if you need them, don't go use them. You know, outside the doors when you came in, they're to your left. So coming out down the stairs to your right. Please remember to mute your phones and on Zoom as well. And just a reminder, folks, if you need to leave, leave. You know, there are many tables and organizations out there, opportunities to make donations. If you may on the way out, we'll say a little bit more about that later. So I got a few acknowledgments too before we get started. There's so many great people here, but in the interest of time, I always want to recognize a special guest tonight. We have tonight Reverend Tatsuo Muneto. Muneto Sensei is retired Jikoen Hongwanji minister from Hiroshima, and I'll let him tell his story. He has a really unique connection to this history of war, and we're really honored to have you, Muneto Sensei. Onegai shimasu. As far as myself, just to introduce a little bit of myself for those who have no idea who I am, and my relationship to this whole event tonight. Well, to start with, I am the product of war in Okinawa. Both my parents survived the battle, but on opposite sides. My mother, 10 at the time, hiding in caves, and my father was a teenage Marine. They would meet 20 years later in Okinawa. But even before that, on my father's side, my great-grandfather fell victim to the Holocaust. So there is trauma on both sides of my family. And unlike my father, who told me war stories all my life, my mother was not able to share any stories. It was just too painful. And I think from that came a kind of a kuleana for myself to make sure these stories are remembered. Yeah. Moreover, I'm a military veteran. I'm misled into the service. My father and spiritual being having a human experience, and that altogether puts a tremendous responsibility, a kuleana, to be here tonight. So my portion is to say a little bit about what Irei no Hi is. So first and foremost, it's a commemoration. Commemoration is memory, right? So wasureruna. We are here not to forget, but to remember. Why we remember? One, bear witness for the dignity of those who lost their lives. Right? Two, for collective healing, collective mourning. And three, prevention, to defend from the reoccurrence happening again and again. One thing Irei no Hi is that it is not a history trivia. It is very much a living tradition, born from the experience of Luchu, which many folks know as Okinawa, and has become part of our identity, not as victims, but as survivors, obligated to live forward both in memory of those lives lost, as well as for current and future generations. Irei no Hi, in its way, is a celebration of life. You know, from loss and heartbreak comes deep gratitude. In the Hongwanji, we have a saying, to be kind and gentle to every living thing and protect all those less empowered than myself. That comes from a saying called the golden chain of love, and one of our volunteers, Terry, has printed out little cards with that poem, if you wish to take one on your way out tonight. From great suffering comes gratitude, deep gratitude. And from that gratitude comes kindness. And so we're dedicated not just as human beings, but all sentient beings. So all forms of life, including the Aina and all beings. Another reason for Irei no Hi is to reaffirm the requisite of peace, both as means and ends. That's really what this tradition that carries on in Okinawa. On June 23rd, the significance of that date is that's recognized when the Japanese imperial commander committed suicide, officially ending the Japanese campaign on our island Okinawa. We are recognizing it tonight, of course, not on the 23rd, but a little bit earlier to fit our calendars and so forth. So what happens on June 23rd in Okinawa, it's like a state holiday. It's the only prefecture in Japan that recognizes this Memorial Day of sorts. There's massive prayers. There's a huge commemoration at Mabuni where people offer prayers and sometimes protest. They gather at the Ishiji, the cornerstone of peace, which has the names of every known casualty in the Battle of Okinawa, not focused on any nationality though. It contains Japanese soldiers, American soldiers, prisoners of war, Korean women that the Japanese government denied being abducted and used, and of course, disproportionately has the number of civilians, those that usually take the brunt of wars and modern warfare. All are recognized, and we'll hear a little bit about that later tonight from Okinawa, about the cornerstone of peace and the obligation to perpetuate peace. Another thing that with Irei no Hi is peace education. So there's a memorial, but it's just as important. They have civic gatherings, academic and otherwise, looking at the causes and conditions of war and how to prevent them. Yeah? And there's always peace rallies around this time, including really inspiring peace chains where people will surround entire military bases hand in hand, like a pule style, and have thousands of people, enough to surround entire military bases, including the largest Air Force base outside the United States. It's quite impressive and a show of dedication and importance. So with that, we really hope you enjoyed tonight's program. Now we will begin. Thank you. We hope you enjoy it. Thank you.
소디 차가디 그라찬야 은총원닝 양원닝 담보노 괴놓고사 도긴 타요란 바로야 가나미 진나란 바로야 가나미 진나란 야바야 가지노 오토바치 생과 카타니 티스미카티 우체 이체 무다바치 시부야 마도도야 다시가야 은중완님 양완님 감보누 괴누고사泥の中から立ち上がり地ね求めて閉じ止めて地ね求めて閉じ止めて足はまりて目になし次男三男次男に淡いの中に笑んちゃが笑い父求めて은중완님 양완님 감보누 괴누고사 平和な手から行ことしかあのちゃんまぎさな手牛があのちゃんまぎさな手牛がやんらたるやまししの我が子もよろごとにおそみじまた飛んで埋もれよろのよがたみくはゆさんじょんわんにんやんわんにんかんぽのけのこさ青やかたのあのいこさわしまかたのあのかんぽわしまかたのあのかんぽまりてかてんわしらりゆみたがあのじゃましんじゃちゃらうらりんこやりんあきじゃらん子孫町でいぐんさやんじょんわんにんやんわんにんかんぽのけのこさなちかしやおちないこさばになやいこさばになやいしきんうまんちょの鳥さみそちこ 시차무라 가야부지노 나가야 가야부지노 나가야 왕미야 야카무라노 신나지마 고라 신나지마 고라.
Story of Iune Kokian, 9 years old during the war. The war started halfway through my 4th grade in elementary school. The military ordered us to escape to the Yambaru area, but the Yambaru area only had ocean and mountains, and there was nothing to eat, so I thought we would starve to death. My father was very knowledgeable about the South, and he thought that if we went to the South, there would be farms, and it might be possible to dig up some sweet potatoes to eat, so we escaped to the South. One morning, they shot gas into the location where we were, so when we tried to get out, they dropped a white phosphorus shell on us. My younger sister was burned on her head and cheek by the white phosphorus shell, and so we left early in the morning to find an air raid shelter because we thought it was too dangerous to stay there. This happened in the morning of the day my father passed away. My father came back saying, "I went out looking for a shelter, but I could not find any good place for us to stay." My father then said, "We should hide where we are now by stacking up a stone wall." It was when he started to stack up the stones that my father was hit by a bomb. A large fragment of the bomb hit my father in the stomach and gouged out his hands above his eyes. I could hardly look at him. He was killed instantly. We placed his body in a small hole, and we talked about burying him by stacking up stones. This was an event that occurred at Mabuni village. My little sister, the third one younger than me, was a whiny child, and perhaps she was hungry, so she just kept crying. One unknown soldier came over with a gun and told my father, "When she cries again, kill her with this gun. If the enemy hears her and attacks, everyone will be affected." And he left the gun and walked away. Another soldier came over with a hand grenade and told my uncle, "When the enemy approaches, protect your children with this." And he left the hand grenade. When the soldier was gone, my uncle said angrily, "How am I supposed to protect them with a single hand grenade? Is he telling me to kill us all?" Then another soldier came over and said, "A war is a fight between soldiers, so civilians should not be harmed. There is therefore no need for civilians to die. If we lose, become a prisoner of war." And he left. It made me think people are different from each other. Some are bad and some are good.
This story is written by Stephen Shigeru Kamiyama, who was my great uncle and was born in Hawaii and moved to Okinawa as a child. On the morning of October 10th, 1944, at age 11, I was washing my bento obako. As soon as I did every school day, without warning, U.S. pre-invasion bombing began with deafening sounds of explosions. The U.S. Air Force began bombing ships, the airport, and several oil tanks in Naha City, not far from my house. Thick black smoke began to fill the sky, and the morning sun looked like a ball of fire rising from the east. Within an hour, the entire city was an inferno. Smoke began to invade our lungs and made it very difficult to breathe. We were choking, coughing, and crying, especially the little children. My mother said, "If we stay here another hour, we will not live to see the daylight tomorrow." We decided to leave the city immediately and travel north to the countryside. Fortunately, our friend Kimiko-san, who worked at a hospital as a doctor's personal maid, helped us escape. Her parents lived on the north side of Yomitan village. We had no transportation, so we had to walk all the way to the village. All we had were the clothes on our backs and a few items to take with us. When we looked back at the city from several miles away, we saw rising flames light up the sky as the whole city was burning. Most of the homes in the city were wooden structures except for the roof tiles. We arrived at the village very late at night, extremely tired and hungry. We could not stay in Kimiko's parents' home because we couldn't take the risk of being a victim of the US bombing. There was a cave near the village, so we decided to hide in the cave until the bombing stopped. We saw several families huddled together inside the corner of the cave. The cave was very dark, except for a small lighted candle deep inside the cave. It was damp, cold, and the chill of darkness filled the cave. Everyone was silent, and the sound of water dripping from the ceiling sounded so loud. Cooking was done during the day, but very carefully so as not to create large flames or smoke. We could not cook at night, as any type of light would draw attention to our location. Kimiko-san brought some sweet potatoes from home, which helped calm our rumbling stomachs. As I write the story, I can see clearly the images of Naha sitting burning and the chill of the darkness in the cave with my mind's eye. After a few days, when the bombing stopped, we were able to leave the cave. We were thankful that we survived, and we were able to take a deep breath while watching the bright sun and not a fireball rising from the east. Our family decided to travel back to Naha City to see if our home survived the bombing. When we got there, I could not believe what my eyes witnessed. The whole city was burned to the ground, except for a few skeletal concrete buildings, totally gutted by the bombs and the fire. The stench of burned bodies permeated the air as decaying human bodies and animals were scattered all around. I will never forget the smell and the horrible images of Naha City totally destroyed. These unforgettable horrors and destructions will always be etched in my mind.
This is the story of Michiko Miyagi, who was 19 years old during the war. We were near the battle line called Nakama in Urasoe. We were stationed there as nurses. Many soldiers sustained injuries at the front line. Some were missing an ear or an arm, and others were injured, the back of their hand or a missing leg. There was not one person with a complete body. Soldiers were brought in from everywhere, all bloodied from the battlefields, and they were brought into our shelter by medics on a stretcher. When they were brought to the shelter, we gave them medicine and applied temporary bandages. We could not accommodate very many people there, so they were soon transported to the headquarters shelter at Nagira on the trucks of friendly troops. The inside of Nagira shelter was filled with a bloody stench. It was not just the smell of blood, but patients urinated, and the ground was wet and messy with urine. Then an epidemic of fever spread. It was during the rainy season in April and May, so it was hot and humid inside the shelter. When people caught the fever, their life became a nightmare. We were not able to replace the bandages of all the injured people. When they were not replaced, they quickly became attached to the wound and hardened. If a wound was not treated for a number of days, it became infected with maggots. I saw maggots infecting human bodies only during that war. Soldiers could not stand it. Some soldiers would ask, "Nurse, remove the maggots for me," while others would say, "Nurse, give me some water to drink," or "Nurse, I am starving, give me something." There were also soldiers who were living a nightmare and saying incomprehensible things. That place was a living hell for humans.
This is the story of Shotoku Asato, who was in the 4th grade during the war. They checked all our pockets to make sure we carried no weapons, and then we were loaded on a truck and brought somewhere in the direction of Chinen. Our truck stopped there, and 7 to 8 more people were loaded, and we were taken to Yaka prisoner of war camp. The camp was divided into 3 separate areas. one for Japanese troops, one for Okinawan troops and conscripted laborers, and one for Koreans. They had what they called the K rations in the prison camp, which was a field ration wrapped in oiled paper. We ate biscuits and small cans of food that were distributed, and I was surprised to find that the American forces fought and were well fed. We were constantly hungry. I felt the gap in war preparations. Prisoners from Okinawa were assembled one day in July, and a second-generation Japanese-American soldier from Hawaii called our names and told us to get on the truck when called. I got on the truck and we were taken to the seacoast at Chatham, where later we were put on a ship. I thought to myself, where are they taking us? The Americans are probably taking us somewhere as slaves. Hawaii or the continental United States being potential destinations never crossed my mind at the time. I thought we might be taken to some island in the Southern Ocean where we will be made to do hard labor like slaves. As the ship left the port, some people were crying as they watched the main island of Okinawa grow smaller and smaller from the deck. The portions of food provided on the ship were very small. We were given half of a small rice bowl's worth of flour with potatoes and carrots flavored with ketchup. We were fed twice a day. The ship was a military personnel transport vessel. For sleeping, there were bunk beds with 4 levels of canvas beds partitioned by posts, so that's where we slept. We spent the whole time on the ship wearing a pair of underwear and 1 t-shirt, and we had to wash them when they got dirty. We had to be completely naked until they dried.
This is a story of Teketsu Kinotai. He's a 4th grader. After being discharged, I joined my mother and others in Tamagusku in the south of mainland Okinawa. However, a few days later, Tamagusku was under concentrated fire. I believe that it was the naval gunfire from the American warships deployed offshore of Nakagusku Bay and Yonabaru. We were under naval gunfire for about an hour. All trees were struck down, and the surface of Ryukyu limestones turned white due to the gunfire. I cannot believe that we survived the gunfire. But one of my classmates, who was right beside me, was shot through the head and died. Some people were killed just like that. I'm still wondering why we did a stupid thing like that. Through foreign diplomacy, we need to prevent war at any cost. I am puzzled by why Japan did not try to avoid going to war. I believe that the Navy was against the war, and it may be the Army that acted unreasonably and led us to war. Did you know what Isoroku Yamamoto in the Navy said back then? He said, "We will do our best to continue fighting the war for 1 year or so." I want to say, what in the world are you saying? It sounds extremely irresponsible. Just look at Okinawa, where people have continuously faced hardships as the consequences of war ever since the start of the war. I want to tell the generations who have never experienced war how horrible and fruitless war is. I want the generations who have never experienced war to give more serious thought to what needs to be done to establish true peace.
し調査 失ってる島や一ん行くさよいやしやしと暮らす七や一がりわったこの島うちな平和にがらなこのちなわしるなよ影にあわりいくさよや資金うまんちゅうのちもにすみてりわったこの島うちな平和にがらなこのちな
は沖縄様のご厚意で受け継がれてきた沖縄の文化を次の世代へ伝えていくことです。昨年は主に今年は英才や島とを通して平和への思いを伝えています。ハワイは沖縄にとって特別な場所です。多くのウチナンチュがつながり、今も沖縄の文化や言葉、平和への思いを大切に守り続けてくださっています。私たちと一緒に平和の礎の理念を沖縄から世界へ届けていただきたいと思います。つながろう、広げよう、平和の礎、
Let's connect and spread the spirit of 平和の礎。
一平、二平、エビタン。
In order for peace to be meaningful in Okinawa, peace must be bigger than just Okinawa. Hear this poem by Gazan poet Yaya Ashur. But Gaza, nothing will turn back dismembered body parts to whole bodies again. No peace could ever make up for a single funeral of the many that never had the chance to honor a single whole body. What the land and people of Palestine endure and what the lands and people of Okinawa endure are not the same. But our hearts beat together for our loved ones taken and suffering under occupation, military violence, greed, domination. Our hearts beat together with many more around the world who all ask, will our world forever be engulfed in war? If you would join me in a posture of prayer, e pule kako. El Roy, God who sees, see us clearly when the world does not, when the media will never. You see each child, each person who was dragged into unimaginable, unending violence. You feel the ache of our land bombed and burned. You hold each person in life and beyond death. Thank you for each kupuna who turned inward, who vulnerably and bravely go back to the site of war to warn us of the senselessness of violence, and to move us to act, to turn towards each other for peace. Peace that can only come from interdependence, care, the denial of domination, the denial of occupation, the denial of greed and dehumanization. In our grief, forgive us for when we misplace our rage onto one another instead of the nations that dehumanized us. In our attempts for a quick peace, forgive us when we cut off those not like us, forgetting our need for interdependence. May we be tender enough to feel the heat of anger, but balanced enough not to be consumed by rage. May we be rooted enough to feel the heartbeat of land and people whose lives were tortured and taken. May we continue to pray with eyes wide open, feet rooted firmly to the ground and to our homes, hearts alive to carry on the steady, clear beating of love, liberation, peace. Will our islands of Okinawa be forever engulfed by war? We will not let it be so. Amen.
Kamishimun suruti kokoro uchi awachi makoto kono uchina mamote kana iwatta kono shima uchina平和にがらなこのうちな
Sorry, okay. Yuta Saragutu Unige Sabira This is a humble reflection on our internal relationship as Okinawans to the United States of America, as we live on Aina that is occupied as a state. Thus, we are affected not only in Okinawa by the United States' actions, but here as well. I would like for us to reflect on and memorialize the lives that are being taken in Iran, Cuba, Palestine, and other places that the U.S. is actively waging war in. I would also like to call attention to the ongoing war that the United States wages on its own people. While many people disagree with the current actions of the United States government and its administration, the most affected communities impacted by these forces often go unheard in mainstream news. The foundations of the United States are capitalism, white supremacy, and the genocide of our Black and Indigenous relatives. These have not changed. And the consequences of this system continuing are visible every day and perhaps more visibly interconnected than ever before. As Ryukyuans in Hawaii and in the United States, I believe that we have a responsibility to people and ancestors outside of Okinawa as well as in Okinawa. We see that the internal war in the United States and its effects are as drastic in their harm against communities as those in Okinawa. In order to stand in solidarity with those communities, we must see that our role in the United States is not neutral or one-dimensional. We have to choose to resist here like our family does in Okinawa. During the Battle of Okinawa, we saw that the lives most impacted by war were the often youngest ones, as war and genocide seek to strip away the will and ability of the next generation to thrive. There are a few such stolen lives that are weighing heavily this week. In our prayers for the lives of children that are stolen by empire and unjust systems of oppression, I want us to include in our grief and prayers Cyrus Carmack Belton. He was a 14-year-old Black child who was chased down, then murdered in South Carolina in 2023 by a gas station owner and his son, who wrongfully accused him of stealing 4 water bottles. Earlier in this month of June 2026, his killer was found not guilty. I would make note of the fact that racism and specifically anti-Blackness in the United States claims many lives, but it is not only perpetrated by one race or ethnic group. We understand that the same is true of multinational colonialism in Okinawa, where the United States and Japan can harm Ryukyuan life and land. Richard Chow, Cyrus's killer, was an Asian man. As Ryukyuans in diaspora, we must also understand that being Asian in the United States racial hierarchy privileges our lives above those of Black relatives, and in this case, let the perpetrator of a racist murder walk free. The consequences of our communities submitting and taking advantage of American systems of oppression of others is participating in the literal theft of life from other further marginalized communities. The lives that are violently stolen in and outside of the United States are of children as young as infants. We just heard how the repercussions of the Battle of Okinawa resulted in ages 1 to 5 years old dropping most in population due to being killed. Just a few days ago in Mississippi, a 1-year-old Black child, Cohen Wiley, was murdered by a police officer who fired shots into his family's car based on an accusation of diapers being stolen from Walmart. A 1-year-old baby killed by an agent of the United States, a police officer. We must mourn accordingly and act in solidarity with the Black community who have been robbed of freedom, life, and dignity for hundreds of years. May these children rest in love. As seen during the Battle of Okinawa, the violence of empire is not only expressed through direct killings, it can be through attacks on people's rights, culture, and means of survival. With this in mind, I would like to also offer a prayer for a dear friend of mine who passed away a year ago this week at the young age of 22. Mao Ha was a transgender Vietnamese working-class community member and artist. In his memory, we continue to organize against the agenda of permanent war and capitalist exploitation. The choices that we make as Ryukyuans who claim and honor the struggle and suffering of our ancestors and our people must be ones that exist in solidarity with other oppressed groups worldwide, especially in the context of our displaced existence in the Okinawan diaspora and the positions of privilege we might individually find ourselves in. To identify as Ryukyuan is to resist empire consciously, even when we could choose to embrace our privileges inside of it. As attacks on immigrants, 50 of whom have died in detention centers in the United States in 2026, Black people, transgender people, and others continue and escalate, this Irei no Hi, and all years until there is true peace without oppression, we must resist the United States' internal wars as fiercely as we see our family resist in Okinawa. We must reckon with the reality of the war happening at home to oppress American people. Peace in Okinawa means peace in the world and on the land now called the United States of America. And to achieve it, we must be united in caring for all of our relatives who are actively surviving oppression, including in Okinawa. As Ryukyuans, we recognize that every life is precious. Our community's spirits and resilience in the face of their grief guides us. And on the best of the days that I get to be alive, I feel the love from our Uyafa Fuji, our ancestors, and know that I must return it to all of our ancestors tenfold. Ipe nife debiru.
Iko satiru munno nerandum ariba awari kono shigata naranta shiga iwatta kono shima uchina eiwa nigara naku no uchina.
We're now honored to have this winding down our program, our final speaker, Reverend Tatsuo Muneto. Onegaishimasu, Sensei.
How fortunate I am for being part of this year's Irei no Hi, Okinawa Interfaith Memorial Service. I have learned so much about Battle of Okinawa. I knew that was very bad, but I didn't know that was so devastating to all the people, adults, seniors, and children in Okinawa during those only 3 months. Yeah. So we pray definitely for peace in Okinawa, our peace in Hawaii, United States of America, and the world. I was born and raised in Hiroshima. And when I was 4 years old, our town was totally distracted by the first atom bomb. I was not in town at that time, but I went back to my home in November, 3 months after the bombing. And I will tell you, life in Hiroshima was very, very devastating for anyone. I was 5, 6, 7 years old, and I remember there were hardly any rice, sugar for cooking. We had small fish only. The kind of condition lasted for 6, 7, 8 years. Okay. But I was fortunate enough to have a good education at elementary school. And I learned more and more about need for peace in the world. So today, we pay our sincere respects to more than 200,000 people in Okinawa who lost their lives. Yeah. And they were not deceased in vain. Their sacrifice makes sense to every one of us. We have hope and expectation for peace in Okinawa. So their deaths were not in vain. Definitely, there was infinite light, immeasurable life of Amida Buddha when people in Okinawa were going through that devastation. So may we remember, for us to make our world peaceful, religions are needed. Christianity, Catholic religion, Buddhist teachings, and so forth. And I hope Jikoen Temple provide the opportunity for Irei no Hi with interfaith orientation. So, in memory of those who are deceased, we have a moment of reflection through the form of offering of incense. Offering of incense is called oshoko in Joroshin Buddhism. To offer incense is to purify our hearts and mind. We forget about the worldly preoccupation and we direct our thought to three treasures: Buddha, Dhamma teaching, and the Sangha. Okay? So I'll go to the altar and strike the bell, and I will chant the sutra called Juseige. Members of the Jikoen no Juseige Sutra. Juseige means Buddha's vow to liberate all in suffering and sorrow, immaterial, mental. That is, to vow of the Buddha is to make his life Namo Amida Butsu spreading among all beings. So I'll start the chanting of the sutra.
All right. While Sensei's getting set up there, we've got some final words here as we close out today's program. Thank you for your patience with, I'm losing my eyesight, so I kind of could use these lighted notes. All right. So, yeah, so much has been said tonight, you know. So just some thoughts that we've been talking a lot about Okinawa tonight, but obviously this transcends ethnicity. And tragically, what happened in Okinawa is happening right now, as Lily pointed out. You know, as a former history teacher, we study scientifically the many causes and conditions of wars, which include controlling resources and markets, militarism and military alliances, extreme ethno-nationalism. You know, these are pretty standard in warfare. However, as a Buddhist, I've come to also learn deeper psychological reasons that were also mentioned, including the three poisons: ignorance, greed, and hate, as fueling those fires of war. I had the misfortune last month. It was mentioned, I'm sorry if folks couldn't read the translation for the message from Okinawa. If you missed it, part of it was about the reading of the names every year. And, oh, if you have that QR code, you can throw that up, Jesse, when you get a chance. Yeah. So, this global Heiwa Ishiji, or the Cornerstone of Peace Project, they've gone from reading the names of the casualties of Battle of Okinawa to an ambitious project to read the names of casualties of all wars. I know it sounds, wow, really? But they're on it, you know, they're working on it. And so I had the displeasure last month with being part of a Faith Hawaii event where we recognize the genocide in Gaza, and I had the misfortune of having to read, among other people, the names of infants under the age of 12 months since October 17th, a couple years ago, yeah. And I'm just called by what Pope Leo said recently, that this cannot become normalized. We cannot get used to these constant, yeah. So I will wipe down the service so we can get to the offering incenses was mentioned. Before I get to that, tonight was completely free, a labor of love. There's no price for this. However, if you are moved to donate, make any donations tonight, I want to mention 3 options. Okay. So, 1, if you want to donate to Jikoen, you have a couple options. One is when you offer incense, if you want to, it's completely voluntary. But there's koa bowls up here. If you want to drop donation in, that's welcome, not obligated. In fact, you can offer incense without the offering. Okay, it's the intention that's important. So don't worry about that if you don't have change. But if you have change, another way you can contribute to Jikoen is we have memorial ribbons for our Obon Festival, which is July 18th, next month, which you're all invited to. And that's a time when we remember our ancestors and have the celebration of life. So today's the last day, though, to sign up for the memorial ribbons. I believe we have forms out there for a small donation. You can have a loved one honored, recognized, and we have chochin, the lanterns, and each lantern will have the name of a person, of which, if you are one of those people, your loved one will be up there. This year, Hoa, we're going to honor Kumu Haheo Wanson. Folks know her as Sally passed this year, and she had been a part speaker in our Irei no Hi event a couple years. So tragic loss, but that is one way another way to donate. If you are moved to donate just to the causes, there's also, I'm pointing back to those entrance doors there, there's a wood box there, and Jikoen has an ongoing fundraising project, Change for Change, and those donations will be going to Physicians Without Borders. Folks probably are familiar with them. And those will be donated at the end of the year. We're collecting right there, okay? That was how many donations? The other donation I want to mention is this QR code I have up here, and that is the one to the Global Ishiji Project from Okinawa. We're not managing the money there, so all we have is this QR code. So if you're interested in donating to Okinawa, I recommend you try to get that on your mobile now, and I apologize for those not on the digital train to be able to do that. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, so that's it for donations. And an announcement of sorts. Is Janice here? Janice. Oh, she wasn't able to make it today. Okay, she's here in spirit. Well, I told Janice I would make this announcement. This Saturday is the second Walk for Vai, Walk for Water. Folks, I don't think anyone forgot about the Red Hill water crisis, of which, is not 100% gone. This Saturday at Kapiolani Park at Magic Island, there's going to be a walk from the park down eventually to the bandstand, where they'll have a rally and so forth. So I mentioned Janice, she's part of the Mijinu Mamuya, the water protectors. And so she wanted to invite folks. We're inviting folks to go out Saturday, if you are so inclined. And a few acknowledgments. Thank you for your patience, Sensei and everybody. In the interest of time, just bear with me. There's just so many hands that went behind this. So just much gratitude to all the hands, all the many volunteers at Jikoen, the wonderful spread out there, and particularly Terry Arakaki, was instrumental in helping coordinate that. Thank you, Terry. And apologies, I just don't want to miss anyone. Oh yeah, and some other folks that mentioned is Doris Oshiro. Also, thank you for the support. Make this happen, Reverend Mari. Our testimony readers, so Nicole Nakata, Dylan Pilger, Yoko Liriano, and Lily Ingo, and Ann Kamimura. We're grateful for your participation. And our tech team, super grateful for Casey Moribe, Jesse Shiroma, and last but not least with the tech team, Oren Tsutsumi, our Bodhisattva tech wizard, who is not only recording this, but there will be a replay on Olelo TV, and this will eventually be available at the Jikoen Buddhist Temple YouTube page. So if you want to refer to anyone else to check that out, that'll be available. And again, our special guest, not just Reverend Muneto Sensei, but also another sensei, Eric Wada. Much gratitude for your contributions to here. Really blessed with the Ukwanshin Kabudan family here at Jikoen. And last but not least, our program committee. So HOA, aka Hawaii Okinawa Alliance, is a grassroots hui of local Okinawans from Okinawa that have been collaborating now since 2005 when we did the first one here for the 60th commemoration. And yeah, we just, as you see, a lot of passionate people about Okinawa, yeah? The youth have spoken. So on that program committee, we had Sam Ikihara, Cassie Chi, which I also want to give props out to Cassie, who also did that benediction, that amazing artwork that you had seen up there, that was also by Cassie. And who's getting married Sunday too? Sorry, give you props and recognition. Dylan helped us out, myself, and last but not least, I want to give special attention to one instrumental person behind this whole program tonight. So thank you for holding off your applause, because now if you're going to give them, this is the time. And if you're feeling, I'm already standing, but if I was going to stand up and do a standing ovation, at this time I would do it for Norman Kaneshiro, who really did a lot of work in putting this together tonight. So, all right. All right. So finally, we were going to end the program for Oshoko, as was mentioned. So here's some instructions for those who might not be familiar, because everybody's invited but not obligated to join in this, okay? The offering of incense. So when we begin, well, Sensei's going to start the chant, but folks will line up on the center aisle, okay? We'll just have two single rows in the center row. Maybe we should start from the front rows to stand up, and then they can go up. So there's 3 bowls up here, incense. There's 3 folks can go up at a time. And if you want to come up with your other person, you're welcome to. We're Buddhists, so there's no hard rules or dogma here. So, gosh, I almost feel like it's better to just kind of demonstrate this. So as you're lined up here, the first thing you do when you approach is you do a bow, okay? Sorry, my back to you. And then as you approach, once you come up to the incense over here, you do one more bow. Okay, in these bowls over here, these dishes, is the incense. It's like sand. So you take a pinch and simply drop it on the embers here. There's embers burning for incense, okay? And after you drop the incense, you can gasho, your hands together. It represents mind and heart together as one, right? And you can bow, offer your prayer, your aspiration, your mana'o, okay? And when you're done, you just one last bow, and then it's the next person behind you's turn. And for folks, when you're done, if you don't mind, if you're on this side going this way, yeah, there's some room over this way, and then on that diamond head side, if you could go around that way so the center row can come in and the side rows can go out. And at that point, you're welcome to talk story, check out the tables, pick up information. Please go drive safely if you have to, but the program will end after this offering and incense, yeah. So, Ipe Nihi Debiru. Thank you so much, folks. And this concludes our program. We hope to see you again next year. Jikoen, you're always, everybody's welcome here. Yeah. Thank you so much. Ipe Nihi Debiru.
最初はそのしがみやこ